Have you ever grown carrots that were cracked, twisted and misshapen, ones that never got big enough, or ones that were so big they tasted bitter? Well, in this video, I'm going to cover each of those issues and then teach you how to grow carrots successfully. I'm Audrey from Audrey's Little Farm, and around here it's homesteading made simple. I'm going to jump right into planting carrots and everything you should do for them to grow successfully, but be sure to stick around until the end because there's 4 common issues that happen with growing carrots, and I'm going to cover each of them. Okay, so the first thing is to start out with a worked up garden bed. I use a rototiller and I go through my garden bed to loosen up the soil and free it from any dirt clods. Carrots love a loose and well-draining soil, so if you have a heavy clay-like soil, your carrots are likely going to be twisted and misshapen. The other important step to take before planting your carrot seeds is to water your bed deeply so that when you plant the seeds it's already nice and evenly moist. Okay, now that my garden bed is prepared and ready to plant, I'm going to take my garden trowel and I'm just going to dig a shallow trench only about 1/4 of an inch deep and in rows 1 foot apart. Okay, now I'm going to sprinkle the carrot seeds down the trench, and I'm going to try to sprinkle 1 to 2 seeds about every 1/4 inch or so. Carrot seeds are super tiny, so just try to spread them out as evenly as possible and avoid dumping a whole bunch in just one spot. And I'm just going to keep sprinkling these seeds down the trench until I get all the way to the end, spreading them out as evenly as possible. Okay, now I'm going to cover the trench lightly with potting soil. You can also just use the soil from your garden beds, but I like to just get a bucket of potting soil and I just gently cover up the trench to cover the carrot seeds. Okay, and then once you've covered all the seeds with potting soil or soil from your garden beds, just lightly pat down the soil. Okay, now that I've covered the seeds with soil and patted it down, I'm going to lightly mist them with water, but just be sure not to spray too hard because if you spray too hard, it'll spray the seeds out of place. Okay, and then once you get your carrots watered, the next important step is to make sure you keep that soil moist all the way until those carrots germinate, which could take anywhere from 14 to 21 days, which can seem like forever when you're waiting for something to germinate. But just be patient, it can take 21 days, and as long as you keep that soil moist, they'll be sure to germinate. Okay, and now I want to cover some of the things that you need to know once your carrots do sprout. So the first thing is that once your carrots are about 3 to 4 inches tall, you're going to want to thin them out. So the first time you thin them, you want to thin them about 1/2 inch apart. If you happen to see any carrots that seem weaker or they're smaller, you can pull those out first and then continue on with the rest, or you can just start from the one end and go every 1/2 inch and pull out any carrots that are in between. Then, about a month later, you're going to want to thin them for a second time, and this time you want to thin them out to every 2 inches apart. And the nice thing about this thinning is that you may even be able to eat some of the carrots because they're going to be big enough that you could add them to some salads or even just have them as a snack. And then the next time you'll be pulling out carrots is the most exciting time, and that's harvest time. When you harvest your carrots, it's going to be about 70 to 80 days from the time of planting, so just be sure and check the back of your seed packet and it will tell you how many days to harvest. And with that being mentioned, I'm going to lead into the first common issue there is with growing carrots, which is picking carrots that are way too big. And this happens because the carrots are too mature and they've been in the ground for too long. And what happens is they end up being bitter and they don't taste good. They're huge and they seem like they should be nice, but they really aren't. They're bitter and they're gross. And the way to prevent this is writing down the day that you plant the carrots and then looking on the back of your seed packet to see how many days it takes until they're ready to pick. And then go ahead on your calendar and mark that date and set an alert. So say you plant your carrots on September 1st and it takes 70 days to harvest, you're going to be October into November, and just mark that date on your calendar and have it alert you so then you harvest your carrots when it's in the prime time, when they're just reaching maturity, and that's when they're going to taste best. Okay, and now on to the second issue there is with growing carrots, which is cracked carrots. Cracked carrots are caused by water stress. So carrots like moist soil, but they also don't want to be waterlogged. So get on a regular deep watering schedule where the soil consistently stays moist, but it doesn't dry out in between waterings. Okay, and now on to the third common issue there is with growing carrots, which is getting misshapen, twisted carrots that don't look anything like a carrot. And this is caused by growing them in a heavy clay-like soil. Carrots like loose and well-draining soil, and so if you grow them in like a heavy clay soil, you're likely going to end up with misshapen carrots. Okay, and now the fourth and most common issue there is with growing carrots is getting carrots that are small and they never fully mature. And the reason this happens is because they were overcrowded and they never had the room to actually grow into the carrot that they were meant to grow into. So the way you can prevent this is by thinning them out, which I know can seem difficult, especially if all of your seeds germinated and you just want all of those carrots to be carrots, but you have to thin them out so they can fully mature. Okay, so to grow carrots successfully, plant them in a well-prepared garden bed with loose, well-draining soil. Keep your seedlings moist, thin them out properly, and then enjoy your beautiful harvest of carrots. And you can learn more by clicking on the next video here, and we'll see you next time.